Okay, now we're ready to roll. Okay, can everybody see that?
Okay, so Kathy, who will be joining us later, designed our logo. So we wanted to start off by showing you what she designed, and this will appear on lawn signs that you may have seen already and other marketing collateral that we are trying to distribute throughout the city. Okay, Mike. So what Mike and I want to talk to you about tonight is we want to tell you what Measure E is. So as you go out into the community and talk with your friends and your neighbors, you have some talking points to refer to. And then also we want to talk about next steps, specifically how you can help spread the word about Measure E. So collectively, we can make sure this gets across the finish line. So what is Measure E? It is a measure, excuse me, it's a measure that the city council decided to put on the November 5th ballot. It is a $290 million bond that will fund the design and construction of our new main library. It will be twice the size, roughly, of our current library, 3 stories, and it will provide much needed space to increase our collection to grow by 30%, and it will expand by 4 times the spaces for children and teens. And this is especially important for families whose children use the library as an example because parents or caregivers who are not home when the children are finished with school, they have a safe place to go. They have a safe place to meet with their friends, to work on homework and other projects. This measure does not include the Lakewood branch, which is under construction. I believe they broke ground last week, and I think it's supposed to be completed by 2025. Okay. So why do we need a new library? Well, first of all, we have lots of structural issues. We have plumbing that leaks, or I'm sorry, plumbing that is outdated. We have a leaky roof, which is not really great. When you have printed materials, our wiring isn't designed for the technical needs of today. And rather than continue to renovate the library as council and the city has voted to do or decided to do for many years, it is less expensive to just build a new library rather than keep going as we have been. So our main library that we all know and love was built in 1960. It's been renovated to twice its size. Our population, though, has tripled since 1960, and it's anticipated to continue to grow by 33% up to 2040. And as Mike will show you on the next slide, Sunnyvale's library is much smaller per person than our neighboring cities. So this chart was a real eye-opener to many of us. So as you could see at the very bottom, there we have Sunnyvale. And we only have 0.39 square feet, excuse me, per person in our city. If you look above that, you'll see that with Lakewood, we would have 0.52, but that's still not as high as, for instance, Mountain View and Milpitas and other cities. So we really do need something bigger to better serve our community. So that's why we're all here. And as we all know, growing up with libraries are no longer just about books. So our main library's goal, one of which is to serve as a lifelong learning center for our community, to let people connect. It's a place for people to enjoy cultural programs, share their heritage. People come to learn to read. I was involved in a volunteer program, an ESL program that was really a lot of fun. People prepare for jobs. They have access to computers. And again, as I said, they have a place to study for school. So there's a lot of people that use our library. Last year, and these are statistics that library staff provided, 380,000 people visited our library. Some people think that with the internet, we don't really need libraries any longer. Well, 1.7 million physical and digital materials were checked out last year. Library programs pulled in 55,000 people. And in case you haven't heard, we also have a library of things that has saved the community $722,000. So we have another slide that will show you exactly what you can get. You can get anything from a GoPro kit to an induction cooktop. You can get tickets to state parks for free. What's really great about this is these are things that you can check out, like books. Say, for instance, and it's just like a one-time use. You're going to have a big party. You want to have an outdoor movie. You can get an outdoor movie kit. So you don't have to actually buy anything. There was a story we were told that an individual who was unhoused needed to repair his car. And what he did was he went to the Library of Things and he checked out an automotive repair kit. So I think it's pretty cool. I haven't checked anything out from the Library of Things yet, but I think it's fascinating what they have. So this is not exactly what the library will look like, but this is just a conceptual rendering. So while our new library will be built, the old library, our existing library, will remain open. And when the new library is built, it will be demolished, and we will be using, we will be adding more open space where the library currently sits. And the new library will be across the street from City Hall, and it will complete what's referred to as phase 2 of our Civic Center program, or planning, I should say. So here are some of the things that we will see with our new library. Again, we're going to have space for more multicultural programs, arts and crafts. I mean, you can read everything that's underneath. I think the children's area that they're showing here looks especially fun for kids to be able to have a brightly lit and colorful place to go to look at books along with their caretakers as well. We'll have a maker space. So it's going to be really pretty cool when it's done. And with all your help, it will be done. Community meeting spaces, we'll have more of those. We'll have flexible community rooms where we can expand or contract depending on what the community needs. And it'll be really great also for small businesses, for a place for their employees to gather and to work on their projects and to, you know, get going on a new business, which would benefit the entire community. So here's a few other programs, the music and video lab. So it would be great to have that equipment available to you at no cost, also gaming and virtual reality. I mean, this is, in my opinion, I don't know how our city could vote not to pass this bond, but that's why we're all here. This shows you a breakdown of what the new space is anticipated to hold, and you can see how much it will grow as an example for the adult space, and more importantly, the children in the tween space. When Mike and I were tabling at Farmers Market last weekend, a young boy who was in elementary school and his dad stopped, and the young boy said, you know, I really wish that we had more programs for kids and we had a better space for kids. And so here we go, one member of the community actually saying what he wants, which is more space, which we hope to get. And how is it going to be paid for? So it's going to be paid for by what's called a general obligation bond. And currently it will require passage of what's called a supermajority, which would be 66.67% of the voters. So we are going to have to work very hard to get to that point. This bond will be used to finance projects, or typically used to finance projects that benefit the general public, but do require a tax revenue source. And the tax revenue source that will be used would be property taxes in this case. It's typically used, as you can see, for fire stations, police stations, and of course, libraries. The bond funds will only be used for the design and construction of the library and cannot be taken by the state. And there will be an independent citizens oversight committee to make sure that the bond expenditures are paid for the things that they were intended to be paid for when the voters pass it. So we're going to show a slide on how the cost to us as property owners will be calculated. So this has been confusing for some people the first time they saw this. So it will be an assessment of $27.47 per $100,000 per year based on an assessed value, not the selling price. So as an example, if your home is assessed at $500K, your selling price more than likely in Sunnyvale will be over $2 million. So the calculation that is used to determine how property taxes will increase is you take the $27.47, in this case, times 5 with an assessed value of $500K. So your property value will increase $137.35 a year. So that's a few cups of coffee most places where we go. So the next slide. So we wanted to share with you tonight what we're calling myths. So these are some things that have come up in the course of our conversations and our reading about the library. Some people believe that the Charles Street Community Garden will lose sunlight. Well, that's not true. The city did a study and there will be no impact to the garden. Some people believe that our main library is perfectly fine. Well, as hopefully the previous slide showed, the current library has structural issues and it's way too small for today's community and our future community as we grow. The city just wants to show off a building that's for a bigger library and building it to LEED standards. Well, again, as was shown, our library is too small and the LEED standards will ensure lower operating cost over the lifetime of the building. So that's actually a smart business decision to make. And our city is very interested in having more of a sustainable city. So this is another good thing. Our community is more likely to go to libraries near their place of work and not the Sunnyvale Library. This one was particularly interesting to me because when I was working, I can't imagine that I ever went to a library near where I worked. And as was shown earlier, last year, the numbers of people that visited our library exceeded 300,000. And lastly, remodeling our library makes more sense than building a new one. Well, it doesn't really, because it's been renovated multiple times since 1960. It's exceeded its useful lifespan. And at this point, if we had to remodel, we would have to close the library and we would have no place to go. There would be no other library to serve Sunnyvale's residents. So that's about it for my piece of the presentation. And Mike is going to talk about next steps.
Okay, so we're talking about we have very little time before the election. What is it, 7 or 8 weeks? And so we're trying to do a number of things, mostly to make people aware of that this measure is on the ballot and why it's a good idea. We've been tabling and talking to other people. We hear very little. We don't hear basically hardly anybody say, well, libraries are a bad idea. We should get rid of libraries. Everybody likes libraries. So the things we're going to be trying to do, one is to present to local organizations, and maybe the people on the call have ideas. And we'll talk about that. Tabling at different locations, display and distribute the signs, the Measure signs, walk neighborhoods with campaign flyers. And this is a new item here, shop at Lee's Bookstore stores, both of them October 1st through 7th. And 10% of your pre-tax purchase will be donated to Measure E. And of course, you can directly donate. So just going into a little more detail, and if you have suggestions, we can add to this list. But obviously neighborhood associations, and some have already, I believe Snail has already had a presentation on this. There are many, and I see Reed Myers has joined us now, and there are a lot of neighborhood associations. So if you belong to a neighborhood association, know when your next meeting is, you can invite us to do a presentation, us or us in the city, who is also doing outreach. Other organizations, so the Livable Sunnyvale, the Sunnyvale Democratic Club, the League of Women Voters, the Sunnyvale Rotary have endorsed the received presentations that endorse the measure. So we're trying to get out to other organizations. PTAs, PTOs definitely are a good opportunity, but they meet kind of sporadically. So we have to, there again, if you belong to one of these or know when they're meeting and can let us know, we can see about doing a presentation there, maybe book clubs, faith-based groups, and maybe people have other ideas. So that's one of the things we'll be doing ongoing. And so the presentation Agnes just presented is the kind of presentation we would have at these with these organizations. Tabling, we're tabling almost every Saturday. For example, at the State of the City, which is in a couple of weeks, we'll be tabling at the State of the City, but normally we'll be tabling in downtown Sunnyvale. The free speech area is just kind of south of the food trucks, a little bit closer to the theater. And you can see here last week, Mayor Klein was also tabling there, Patrick Aarons. So different people are tabling down there, but it's really a lot of fun. People come by, talk to them, they ask questions. And so feel free to either volunteer to come by and table for, an hour or something, or just stop by and say hi. And we do want to start tabling at the main library, in particular, the weekend of the 21st, 22nd. Friends of the Library book sale always gets a lot of people there, but there are other times. Later in the day, according to the library staff, later in the afternoons, you get a lot of people, students coming in, and almost any weekend. So that's another opportunity, and other community events like State of the City that may be happening. Like Diwali, for example, might be an opportunity. You can get, here's a picture of both the lawn signs and the smaller 8.5 by 11 signs that are good for like a store window, or an apartment window, or a window at a mobile home park. So to get one of those, just reach out to one of us, and we can deliver it. Or I always have a few stacked in front of my house, and we'll have until the election. So that's certainly another easy way. You can just put a sign in your front yard and let your neighbors know you're supporting this, and that it's on the ballot, which isn't necessarily going to be obvious to everybody. You can certainly go door to door and talk to your neighbors. Now, a lot of people are walking in neighborhoods for various candidates, particularly in North Sunnyvale. So, and some of these people have volunteered to, as part of this, to carry our handouts with them and drop them off to when they talk to people. But you can certainly do it in your neighborhood as well. Just go around to your neighborhood and put it under the doormat. And if they're home, talk to them. Also distributing signs to people who may want them, or And like I said, combine walking for Measuree with walking for candidates. And of course, there's donation options, and you can see the link there, which unfortunately on a Zoom call, you can't click on the link, but you can use the QR code and jump right to it from that, and or write down. That's pretty easy. Yes, on sunnyvalelibrary.com, and it has various amounts of information there, and it's getting populated more all the time. And also, this is our Agnes and my email address, so you can get a hold of either one of us by using our emails, and this is our livablesunnyvale.org emails addresses. So, any questions, comments, suggestions on what we can be doing? This is a very new campaign. We just got the signs last Friday, and got the website up. So we're really just getting started, and we have a very limited amount of time.
I have a question. How does the Mercury News go about doing their endorsements? And is there something we can do as a group to move that forward, or do they just, or do you know?
Yeah, I don't know that there's various ways that happens, but Connell, are you familiar with that process?
With the school district, I've only really worked with school districts in it with the Merck, and they've send a list of questions to the superintendent is typically the way they've gone about it. And so I assume they would reach out to the city for comments and to answer their questions. But they don't, as I know, have like an editorial board that you can go meet with.
Yeah, we've had some discussions about that. It would be great to get an endorsement from the Mercury News, but we'll have to see what's involved. The mayor told me last week that they still haven't done the mayor yet, so we'll see what we can do there. Julia?
Two questions. Let's see. Are there any known organized effort to oppose this? That's the first question. And then the second question, I was wondering, for people who don't hear about this until they're actually voting and they're looking at the question on the measure description and all that. Does it say clearly that this is paid by a bond on property tax? Supported by property tax?
It does clearly say that, yes, absolutely. They have to be very clear about that.
Okay, because if I was a renter, I would vote for this for sure.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So I think, Julia, the city said that they were going to be putting some handouts in some of the bills and other things they're sending out this month.
They have. I already received one.
Oh, you did? I haven't gotten anything yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the utility bills?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. And so the other question was, are there any opposition, known opposition organized?
Not organized that we're aware of. There were a few people two or three people actually is all, who spoke to council and just didn't want to pay for it. And that's the main argument that we've heard about that. But we aren't aware of any organized effort, or I'm not aware of anybody beyond maybe 3 or 4 people who have expressed opposition to it. Angela?
What about a letter to the editor for the Mercury News or the Spotlight?
Yeah, that would absolutely be a good idea. Yeah. Both, yeah.
So what I did was I put my address and Mike's email address in the chat if you wanted to get a hold of us, if you're interested in helping to get the word out. And there's also information how to donate. And I think Bruce put something in the chat as well about donations. So, Connell, didn't you have something when we brought this up about letters to the editors or writing to the newspapers? Didn't you, for me, it seems
But
to me,
sometimes with the letters to the editor in a 2/3 race like this can work against you if it
Yeah.
becomes a back and forth. So you don't want to really kind of get into an argument through the newspapers, through the letter to the editor process. So if it starts generating negative comments, it could work against us.
Something we didn't mention and we should have been clear about is the city put this on the ballot, but the city staff and cannot promote the ballot measure, the bond measure. So they're kind of constrained. That's why we have a separate committee that is doing this and printing signs and going out and talking to people, because the city staff, although council votes to put it on the ballot, then they have to say, well, it's kind of a crapshoot, we can't say one way or the other. So it makes it a little difficult, although they can, and they have done that with us, go to meetings where we give the presentation and they could present their unbiased factual information about it, but they can't advocate for it. It's kind of a fine line.
Mike, could you stop? Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to see everybody.
Yeah, it took me a while to find that.
Yeah, that's okay. You found it.
Tara?
I would suggest that supportive letters to the editor with a little story in it of why my neighbor loves it or why my child loves it or something like that. It usually doesn't get, the responses that you're worried about, Connell. But it does give an overview. And I would think if you had several people that would write over a couple of letters a week, something like that, that supported it for various reasons, I think that might be useful.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing where, like schools or like a number of other things, people are reluctant to say, well, I hate libraries, we don't want libraries. They're just the negative aspect of it is not so easy to demagogue. So I think that makes this a little easier than some other election type of issues. Linda.
Has the county Democratic Party endorsed this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can they?
Yes, they can. They at the at the endorsement meeting, they bulk endorsed practically every measure in the county that they were aware of, which was like all the school measures, and it was like a consent calendar thing, and they just bulk endorsed them without discussion. So that is something we should take to the county.
And then, if possible, to be in time for their mailer, their slate mailer.
Hmm.
Do you know when that goes out, Linda?
I don't know, but could you ask like Martin Pine to ask, or just ask Bill James directly? I think Mike probably has his email.
Okay.
Like, how is it possible to get this one? Do you put measures on slate mailers, and is it possible to get this on the slate mailer, even though it hasn't been endorsed? There's some other route to get endorsed to be in time for your slate mailer.
Yeah, we may be able to track someone down at the Victory Dinner tomorrow night who could answer that question.
Okay. Like maybe they could have a special meeting to endorse these last minute things.
Or can they endorse online? Some organizations can.
I think they have monthly meetings, so don't know if they would have to have a special meeting or something like that. I don't
Well, the
know.
next meeting would be the first week of October, so
Hmm.
that would still, well, that'd be in time for, before people are voting, but not
Might not be in time for their
too late
mailer.
for the mailer.
Maybe they'll have several mailers, and then you could be on one of them. They'll
Right.
probably have
Or,
several.
or we could put their endorsement on our mailer too.
Oh, okay.
I
Is
mean,
the Sunnyvale Democratic Club going to have a mailer?
I've seen their, well, no, but I mean for this committee. I mean, I've seen the Senate committee's endorsement flyer, and it's got so many things on it, you could hardly pick out one of them. So if you're looking for something in particular, you see it, but it's got a lot of, as you know, a lot of things they endorse, so.
Would the Sunnyvale Democratic Club consider like, social media, posts in support of this and possibly a targeted mailer? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it.
Mhm.
Okay, that's my
Yeah,
thing.
the club has endorsed it, so that is certainly the kind of thing we could promote.
Okay, great.
Oh, sorry. Chuck, you had a comment or question?
Yeah, it actually kind of piggybacks off that last thing Linda said. Is it worthwhile to do some type of online campaign, kind of posting on, like Linda was saying, like have groups post on Facebook, Nextdoor, kind of all these other things? Is that a good idea to try to get the message out that way? Or there was a comment earlier about kind of getting the negative back and forth, like posting on Nextdoor may open that can of worms up. I don't know if it
Yeah.
would be recommended to do these things or not.
I've always had trouble with Nextdoor, especially living in the two-thirds world. I'm really kind of looking at the two-thirds requirement on this, and Nextdoor has just always been a very negative source. We do have our website, and Kathy's making it available for Facebook and other social media, but there's certain things I would probably avoid. But if personal, Facebook pages and Instagram, things like that, I think could be good.
Okay, and you said someone's actually working on kind of getting a Facebook page set up and Instagram and stuff so that we can share stuff through
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I
yeah,
don't know how quickly Kathy, a graphic designer, is going to be away next week. So she's got the model to set up the website. And I'm not sure how much is all going to be in. The website's definitely in place. The Facebook page might be a little bit delayed.
yeah. The Dim Club has definitely run ads in the past around certain campaigns, and we may decide to do that as well here. So I think that can be effective, and you can block comments if it's a problem, but unlike a lot of the things we promote, it's not as controversial. There isn't really an organized opposition or a organized position at all opposing it, other than I don't want to spend the money, which.
But there is, I mean, we do have an opposition statement in the ballot booklet. So there is, and then was it Michael Goldman, who's, whether like it or not, he's got a little following. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he just resurrected all his comments for the city hall and changed it to main library, and he's putting them out again, so.
That's why we have these are myths slide. Sue, you wanted to say something?
Oh, yeah. So what have the pollsters said is the wisdom that it'll be really close, and that's why we have to get out there and beat the bushes and make sure everybody weighs in on this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That's why we have to pound the pavement, as
On the
was said.
pavement. Yeah, I can do
Yes.
some.
It's gonna be tight. Those of us who have lived in Sunnyvale for a while, I'm sure are quite disappointed. The first time we tried this, it failed. So hopefully this time we can get it across the finish line. Chuck?
Yeah, I had a separate question. I was on a call earlier today with a group that's advocating for Prop 5, which is the lowering the threshold to 55%. And kind of when I was on that meeting, it occurred to me like it makes sense to actually advocate for both of these things together. Like there's two ways to success. One is to get 66% of the vote, or a second way to success is to get over 55 and get Prop 5 passed. One of they had for the walking the neighborhoods, they actually had a tool to actually kind of go to kind of different targeted um homes. They have a big database that they got from somewhere that says, here, go target these homes when you're walking the neighborhoods. Would it be worthwhile to try and kind of organize with them to try and kind of target certain areas for the walking, or just kind of walk around neighborhoods?
That would probably be best answered by Connell, who's been data geek that he is. He and Bruce have been looking at the results. So go for it, you two.
Okay, yeah. So the way that we're walking is really right now through candidates and like using some of the candidates of what they're doing. We're starting to target with the direct mail, and we're really looking at some of the peripheral voters. So the less frequent voters, the renters, younger voters who don't participate as much. So I've been really kind of focusing on those. It's very difficult to walk to those voters, but I think that if we can raise enough, we can start to mail to them just to kind of reinforce a positive message to the younger audience and the less frequent voters. As we walk the neighborhoods, we can design a walk to be a little bit more specific to your neighborhood, and we can kind of design that, a la carte kind of, if you will.
Okay.
Bruce, did you want to add to that? Because I know you've been looking at the data too.
Yeah, well, the initial look was, what that we all did was kind of what were the messages that resonated the most. And there, the messages, my recollection, Connell may have looked at this again more recently than I have, was very much the argument, hey, the library is old, backed up plumbing, those kinds of things. Then the message is about programming and space for kids. I think to a lesser extent, places for community organizations to meet. And much to my disappointment, way down on the list was messaging about sustainability. Now, that doesn't mean that won't resonate for some people a lot, but as a general message, we've sort of been downplaying that.
Bruce, do we have statistics on that? About how much we've reduced pollution?
There's a good question. I don't know what info we've got. I mean, the biggest thing would be whatever we can document from the city hall,
Right.
which is roughly the same size building as what's proposed.
There should be some information there we can get then.
Yeah, the city has not been great about selling what I think is a real victory story. I think we're early days there, probably in collecting and understanding the data. But that's a great suggestion. Let me see what anybody can help us come up with.
Yeah, and just make some general statement too. I mean, it's definitely gonna be more sustainable.
But it's definitely part of it. It's just not. Some of these things resonate more with voters, and so it's not that we're saying things are important or not important. It's more trying to look at it in what the voters say they support at a 2/3 level, and those are the things we want to emphasize. It's not that these other things don't exist or they're not going to be part of it. and we can continue to answer questions, but if we're limited in the amount of contact and what we can say, we're going to focus on those top line items.
Linda?
Oh, so is someone keyed into the PTAs in Sunnyvale? Like, we have PTA contacts?
We do.
Okay.
We do have, I mean, the PTAs are, they're a mix of activity. So,
Oh,
but we have some people from Sunnyvale working on them, but they just don't have great attendance, frankly. So
oh,
just
but
even with the
you,
school district, it's been difficult to
oh, okay.
reach out.
Oh, okay. But they do they have like mail lists, email lists? Or they can't like outreach to their mail list because this is a measure
They would have to, I think they would have to vote
endorse,
this endorse.
and none of them want to endorse.
I wouldn't say they don't want to endorse.
Uh-huh.
It just, it takes the outreach, and we just haven't had the outreach quite yet.
Mm.
We really, as an organization, we've probably been in place for about 3 weeks. So
Oh,
we just
okay.
haven't had that outreach
Do
available.
you think if you hit the high schools, like we have like 2 main high schools, Homestead High, Fremont High, if you hit their PTA and got them to endorse, then maybe both schools might have, both PTAs might have, mail lists, which might be bigger.
Yeah, we can definitely reach out to them.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the things. I was probably gonna reach out to kind of the old PTAs that I had been involved with.
Oh, good.
I can try and track down Homestead. I'm not as familiar with that one, but there's some other ones, CMS and West Valley that I was gonna reach out to and just see if there's still anybody there that I know and
I'm friends with
send out some
the
email. Yeah.
former or who's currently on the board of, Mina Jukonda. You guys all know Mina Jukonda. She's on the board of the Fremont High School PTA.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So
And then
Reed has,
Graham Clark does support, the superintendent's supportive of it. We've talked to him about it. So we certainly have the administration behind it. So if that helps.
and Reed has her real
I was
hand
gonna say,
raised.
that reminds me, there's something called Peach Jar that the communications managers from the local school districts use to send out information to parents. They wouldn't be able to do anything pro the library, but they definitely could send out our information sheet. So Aaliyah Wilson is the person at Sunnyvale School District, and then at Fremont, why am I forgetting her name? But I know her too. So we should do that.
Yeah, Rachel. Is Rachel
Rachel,
still
Rachel's
there?
lots of
Yeah.
votes, lots of
Yeah,
votes.
okay.
Yeah, she can do Fremont. Yeah, so all we have to do is send them we can ask them with the fact sheet. At least people will know it's coming, and it'll be like, they won't have heard it the first time on the ballot. That's a great idea. Thank you,
Yeah.
Linda, for doing
Yeah.
this. So I can do that as long as we have a digital copy of that flyer, which I'm sure we will.
Great. Yeah. It's a
You
good
can
idea.
take it right off the city website,
Mhm.
Okay.
the
I'll do
fact
it.
sheet.
All
Yeah, I
right.
did that earlier.
How about the neighborhood associations? Can you send that out? The
That's
fact
me.
sheet?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've already done a lot of like, this is what's on the ballot. And I just sent a recent one, but yeah, I can definitely do, like, just to let you know, this is going to be on your ballot. It's just a matter of the neighborhood leaders forwarding it. But that's a good idea too, Linda, thanks.
Yeah,
And
actually,
then does the city have the City Library Foundation? Do they have, like a library mail list that could send out the fact sheet?
The Friends of the Library?
Friends of the Library are the city library mail list, the fact sheet, not the vote yes on it, the fact sheet.
Right.
I think the city would need to decide that. I mean, that's why we were trying to get some information from the city, and we can't get information from the city. So if you're talking, that's a city group that's controlled by the city. So I think that you would need to talk to Tim Kirby about that.
Do we have a
We-
liaison to the city? I'm a city council member, but I didn't know, like, do you have a liaison?
We're
Or
working
you're not
primarily with
supposed
Tim's
to?
office.
What?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no.
We're working primarily with Tim's office.
Okay, so
and
ask
trying
Tim
to find out if that's really the best place to go, or if he would prefer that we work with maybe not, maybe someone else in the city, but we're trying. There's fine lines between what city staff can and cannot do. And the city, as you all know, is quite conservative in their approach and the optics of not wanting to look like they're helping to pass a bond. So it gets real gray and it gets real tough to navigate through some of this stuff. And again, with the conservative approach, which is fine, that the city has decided to have on many things, it's not that easy.
Yeah, and the school board can, so Charles, you can address some more of this. The members of the school board of trustees can support it in their personal capacity, and Charles and Carter are both on from the school board.
Yeah, Charles and
The
Carter,
city.
yeah.
Library board.
Board of trustees.
Library board.
Yeah.
So, Charles, you
Yeah,
did.
so it's as if the committee asked the city to give it to the library, they probably wouldn't allow it. If the city asked the city to give it to the library, they'd probably allow it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're considered the advocacy group. So it seems like anything we ask of the city, it seems like there's advocacy involved in that. I know
Rather
that
than
sounds
just
complicated,
education.
where
So, yeah.
where if you as a city council member said, hey, we want to provide information to the library board, probably perfectly fine.
Yeah. Julia, you had something to say as well? I'm sorry, Linda, are you finished? I didn't mean
Oh,
to
yeah,
cut you
that's
off. Yeah,
So
okay.
do you want me to ask?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
ask Tim. Okay.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say about messaging, right? So I was thinking there's, since this is from taken from property tax, there's no reason for any renter to be opposed to this, right? Because it's a better service for them. Okay, so then the people that would have a problem with this is people who have to pay, which are the property owners, right? So but you know, I know you talked about how other cities, you know, have better libraries than us and all that. I don't know, because I was eating dinner when you were doing your presentation, so I may have missed the point. But to me, it's like you know, a better city library, a better library raises our property value. I didn't. Did you have that in the messaging? You know, if not,
Say that, but that's true. I did
Yeah.
not say that.
yeah,
That is very true.
I think because you know, as a property owner, you know, that's something that I'm always concerned with, right? You know, and so just be direct with me. Tell me that, you know, my property value will go up because of this. Just be very direct.
Yeah.
I think that
And
Julia,
that wasn't, we did have that messaging in the arguments, so that is included in some of the arguments that are in the ballot booklet.
I think in those of you on this call that know more about this than me can correct me after I say what I'm going to say. I'm not completely convinced the renters will not bear some of this through possibly a rent increase depending on their landlords. So I don't think we can say that it's only those of us that are single family homeowners that will pay for this, because it might be somewhat of like a pass-through increase for them. So I don't know, does anybody have any comments on that?
I mean, that could happen down the road.
Right.
But it's definitely a much diluted effect compared to a property owner.
Right, but
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't.
think it's worth. I think it's worth pursuing renters because most of them are not here that long, and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
if they vote, the problem with renters is just contacting them. It's, you know, their propensity to vote is very low, and the movement. But they're definitely within our target. They're a group that move with information, and if they're ever going to vote, this is when they're going to vote. So we're definitely going to include some, you know, some late mail, or because they're also late voters as well. So
aren't they about 50% of Sunnyvale?
About 51, a little bit more
they're
than that.
they're not the voting population. They're about 33%.
33% renters in the voting population.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Chuck?
Yeah, I was wondering, kind of related to kind of all this messaging and questions like that. Is it possible for someone to put together like a little cheat sheet for kind of how to message this? So the kind of the North I would say is like lead with the library's old, it has plumbing issues, and we need a new library. We need more space for kids, for community activities. And then a list of like kind of common um responses to questions that get raised, like, oh, won't it raise my property taxes? Oh, well, here's the response to that. Or, oh, I'm a renter, will it affect me? Here's the response for that. Is it possible to get like a little cheat sheet for kind of what are the good things to message and kind of responses for kind of common questions or issues?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think
Yeah.
that we can put that together, yes.
Yeah, we could
We
do
don't
that.
have that together yet, but we have bits and pieces of that. But I think that's a great idea.
It's on
Yeah.
my list, Chuck.
The city has
Yeah.
a Q&A section, and they have
Yeah.
a one-page, um, what do we call it? They've got a
The
one-page.
fact sheet.
The fact sheet about it.
Yeah,
But again, they can't advocate.
yeah.
Yeah, but that does provide a lot of information. So the city website is a good place to send people with questions because it does have the most information. We've been taking the position where we have to just reinforce a yes vote. And we haven't attempted to try to do as much education other than through these type of forums and things like that. We're trying to, the city is also doing a mailer to all the voters where they're going to inform them as well. So we're kind of taking advantage of that so that allow the city to provide as much education and we can kind of reinforce the vote yes message. But I think I like your idea on the talking points kind of.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good.
So Tara had included in the chat that she was pretty sure that school board trustees would be supportive. We do have endorsements on our page that shows that there are individuals with the school board that are endorsing this. And I put in the chat the link if you wanted to donate, and the QR code is there, and my address and Mike's as well if you want to sign up for any of the tabling or when we get ready to walk through neighborhoods. We're more than happy to have your help with this. So just let Mike or me know, and we're happy to sign you up. Because what is it? Many hands make light work. We got a lot of work to do. So we're happy to take more questions if anybody has any or ideas. I mean, it's been really helpful to hear what you have to say. I think we've been immersed in this and it's only been 3 weeks, but I feel like we're eating, breathing, and drinking Measure E. So it's good to hear other input. Sue.
What's our next steps? What do you want us to do? Should we give blood?
Sign up.
Yeah.
Sign up to help and donate, because all of the materials that we're showing you, we're paying for. So it would be really helpful if people could either donate their time or actually donate money to help cover the cost of the materials that we're sending out.
And signs, get signs, get everybody to take signs and get those signs out.
Yeah, the more signs we see around town, the better.
Well, I'll sign up to walk, distribute flyers.
Excellent. Okay. And wait until the first week in October to buy your stuff at Lee's. It's another way you can donate. October 1st through the 7th. She's going to donate money to our cause.
Okay. I'll put that on my calendar.
Yeah, so just wait till then. Hold off on those purchases.
And how do you get signs?
Well, you can, I've got signs, Mike's got signs. You're probably closer to Mike than me. I'm by Ponderosa, but I'm happy to put signs on my porch if people want to come by and get them.
Mm-hmm.
And if do you want signs, Linda? Do you want me to drop some over? I can do that too.
Yeah, or we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll email you. I'll think about how many you want.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll get you signs. I was driving around today dropping off signs, so happy to do that if people are interested in having them on their lawns. And they look really good. Kathy did a great job. They're real pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. Very artistic.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
Very
eye-catching.
Silicon Valley with the chip, nod to the chips on them. Yeah. Any other ideas or comments? No?
Well, you could try and, oh, yeah, go ahead, Tara.
Thank you for doing all this. It is exceptional. It's difficult, I know, and I would be happy to sign up to help on Saturday to distribute.
Perfect. Do you want to come to farmer's market?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, farmer's
Yeah,
market. There are some
perfect.
Saturdays that I can't, but I can, some that I can, so I will sign up to do that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for taking your time to do that. Anybody else want to sign up while I have my pen out?
Sign Tara up with me. I have a couple days.
Got it. Okay.
If she can do it.
If she can. Okay. Sue, you were going to say something as well?
No.
Nah. Okay. All right. Mary, you look like you're poised to say something. No? Okay. All right. Going once, twice. Okay, you have our addresses in the chat. If you want to let Mike and I know how you want to help, or if you want to donate, you know how to do that too. So thanks for coming, and I'm sure we'll have another meeting to let you know what else we need help with.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Agnes and Mike.
Thank you.
Mike, thanks Connell, thanks everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Coming.